What's going on, guys? I'm Primal Liquid and welcome to my top 5 tips and tricks for the remastered Final Fantasy XII The Zodiac Age. Now, I do just want to say that the footage you're about to see was recorded on an emulator from the Japanese International Zodiac job system with the English patch, and this remaster is based off of that version. However, after speaking to somebody on Game FAQs who does have a review copy, I can confirm everything here does still work. Now, with that out of the way, let's jump into the top 5 and start with an easy one, shall we? So, coming in at number 5 is the Bazaar Monographs. Now, I'm actually a little shocked at how many people don't actually know about these items. But the monographs are a collection of key items you can get right at the very start of the game, which allows you to get some extra loot from every type of mob. And if you're aiming for some of the best gear in the game, then you're going to need these monographs. So, how do you get them? Well, quite simply actually, as soon as you gain control of Von after you've defeated the dire rats in the sewers, you can start unlocking these. So, you want to speak with the hunt board 20 times to unlock the War Mage's monograph, which increases the drop rates of amorphs and undead monsters. However, if you interact with the hunt board 40 times, you can get the Dragoon's monograph, which increases the drop rate from dragons and plants. Then, talking to any magic shop vendor 25 times will net you the Mage's monograph, which increases drop rates from fiend monsters. Talking to any armor shop 15 times will get you the Scholar's monograph, which increases drops from construct type monsters. The Knight monograph comes from talking to any weapon shop vendor 30 times and increases drop rates from giants and insects. Now, the Sage's monograph comes from speaking to any vendor a total of 100 times, and this increases the drop rates from elemental monsters. Now, just a note here though, all of these stack, so I suggest you do this one last, since you're going to have 70 interactions already just from the other vendors, and the final Hunter's monograph comes from defeating the Mark monster, Vextra, which becomes available to you after you defeat the Rogue Tomato, and this increases drops from beasts and avian type monsters. Okay, with that simple one out of the way, let's move on to the good stuff, shall we? With number 4, now this one is another that's known by a lot, but also not known by a lot, and that is Dustia farming. Dustia is a mob that you can encounter very early and defeat thanks to Phoenix Downs. Now, you can do this technically as soon as you completely finish the Rogue Tomato hunt, since you can farm Phoenix Downs from a chest in the first area of the Estus Sand. However, I would suggest doing this after you get Penalo and finishing the little Sunstone mission, since then you can actually buy Phoenix Downs from Nalbina Fortress, which is located just off from the Estus Sand. And no, for those who did this in the original FF12, you cannot buy Phoenix Downs from the Wester Sand anymore. Now, they do cost 200 gil each, which is quite a lot at this stage of the game, true. However, you will be making far more than that here, and it only takes about 40 minutes to go from level 4 or 5 to level 20ish. And if you want to use a full stack of 99 Phoenix Downs, that'll cost just under 20,000 gil, but will net you about 50 to 70,000 gil in return, as well as a massive amount of LP to use to drastically increase your base stats. Now, Dustia is located at this point in the Wester Sand and will only appear if you have a character under 10% of their maximum health. So I suggest just having a character attack himself, and you can unequip their weapons and use just their plain fists to easier control the damage that you deal. Now, you want to make sure the battle speed is set to wait instead of active, and also set it to the slow speed in the config menu. Now, as soon as you zone into the area, Dustia should spawn. Wait until you can see its red health bar, and then press X, target him with a Phoenix Down, and once you use it, hit X again to bring the menu back up. If he doesn't drop anything, then press circle and move back to the other area quickly. If he does drop something, then wait until it's on the ground, and then press circle to remove the menu, run over to the loot, and press X to bring the menu back up. This way, you lock Dustia's death animation, but you can still grab the loot. Once the loot is yours, change areas quickly before the EXP and LP appear on the screen. The reason for this is that if you kill a mob and change screens before the EXP and LP appear on screen, is you get all the spoils, but the game doesn't detect the monster as being dead, meaning you can keep zoning back in to farm it instead of having to move 2 screens away. If you also have a black mage, then Dustia can drop a weapon called the Flame Staff, which is very powerful for this part of the game. Now, this is the best and fastest way to level up that you're going to have access to for quite a while. Me personally, I normally do this for about 2 to 3 hours. I buy all 7 monographs and get about 100k gil behind me before I move on. Okay, so you've done your level grinding, you have massive amounts of LP and gil, but you're still lacking some really OP weapons for the first hour of the game. Say no more, I got you covered. In number 3, now chances are your Von is a hunter or Penalo is a hunter. How do I know that? Because hunters are bloody broken. And right now, we're going to get a good strong dagger that will last for quite a while. So to do this, I suggest you have 400 or 500 HP at least on each character. Then move to this spot in the Wester Sand where I am in the video. It's just near where you can farm Dustier. In this zone, there is 2 wolves, and when you kill them, a unique mob called the Linbor Wolf will spawn. Now, at this point of the game, the wolf can mess you up pretty badly, so I suggest controlling Penalo and standing as far away from the wolf as possible near the zoning area. Turn gambits off for both characters, and then manually get Von to steal from the wolf. If Von dies or gets really low on health, just run back to the previous screen, heal up, and then try again. Now, sooner or later, you will manage to steal the Gladius Dagger, which boasts an impressive 56 attack. And at this point in the game, this will take you from dealing 40 or 50 damage to dealing 400 or 500. The only real downside here is it's actually wind elemental, which means any mobs that absorb wind damage, like the Cockatrice, will end up being healed by this instead. Now, on to number 2. So you're saying that 56 attack isn't good enough, even though you haven't even got your 3rd character yet. Okay, I got you covered again, I guess, with the Burning Bow. Now, this weapon is a piece of utter despair for grinders with its lowly drop rate chance of 1%. And to make matters worse, it's dropped by the dive talents. Ouch. Yeah. Now, over the years, a few people have come up with different strategies on how best to farm them. There's the quickening method or the chain and poison method. The problem with this, the first one is pure luck and you might not even have your bow after 20 hours. And yes, I'm talking from experience here. The other, by the time you're able to do this method properly, the burning bow will likely be useless to you. However, this is where my method comes into play. Time-wise, it's faster than both of these methods and completely eliminates the RNG aspect, pretty much guaranteeing you a bow within a couple of hours. And as far as I'm concerned, is the best way to get the bow this early. Okay, so to do this, you're going to need the diamond armlet, which you can get from here in the Wester Sand in a chest. If the chest doesn't spawn, return to the previous area and zone back in. The chest has a 75% spawn chance with a 100% chance of getting the armlet. Once you have that, equip it and go to the Wester Sand and farm 99 knots of rust from the chests. The way I farm it on screen takes about 20 to 30 minutes to reach a full 99. However, because in the HD Remaster, the super speed modes allows up to 4 times speed, you can most likely reach 99 in about 10 to 15 minutes. With your 99 knots of rust, save the game in Remaster and zone into the Wester Sand. Now, this is important. Look up at the sky. There's 3 different weather patterns for this area. There's sunny, where there's no clouds. There's overcast, where there's a lot of dark grey clouds. And there's the sandstorm. In order for the burning bow to drop, it needs to be sunny. So keep zoning in and out until you get sunny weather. And then just make your way through the Wester Sand, killing dive talent and racking up the chain count until you get your bow. If you run low on knots of rust, you can return to the Wester Sand area via the Giza Plains in the south to farm more. However, and this is super mega important, do not touch a save point. Touching a save point will remove your current chain count, making it even harder to get the burning bow. Now if you are going to get this bow, then you need somebody to be an archer job, and I suggest Fran, simply due to the fact you want to get the most out of this bow, and Penelo will disappear for a little while, and archer isn't really a great job, so you don't really want to make Vaughn into one. Ding ding ding, bonus time! Okay, how does completing your license board and having enough LP to complete your second job license board within a couple of hours sound? All while earning some very decent amounts of gil and a moderate amount of EXP. Now, how does it sound when I say you can do this about 2 hours into the story? I present to you the Chain Bridge. Now, once you arrive in Bujeba and go to the Lushu Mine dungeon, you're presented with a nice, compact, short dungeon run. The first room is quite straightforward, then you are brought to a bridge, the next room is a simple curve to the right, and then you're on the second bridge. And this is where we want to be. Now, I suggest you set your gambits to everyone attacking the nearest visible foe, with the guest character Lamont to cast Cura on allies below 70% HP, and then use Poisoner, Blinder, and Vox on any ally. For the 5th gambit, just set him to attack the nearest visible foe like the others. Then, just run up and down this bridge where skeletons will spawn in mass. It takes about 1 minute to kill 30 skeletons, giving you 30 LP, 3000 EXP, and to respawn them, you just run 2 screens south to the other bridge, and then back and north to the second bridge where the skeletons spawned, and repeat the process. Now, I do suggest not going north into the 4th area of the dungeon, since this is the final area, and once you complete this section, you lose Lamont as a guest character. You can do this even after you complete the mines, however, you lose an extra attacker and a free healer. Also, to ensure you don't lose your chain when you are spawning the skeletons, hold the R2 button to engage the fleeing mode. This way, you won't auto attack and kill any bat monsters while resetting your chain. Now, once I hit a chain of about 200 to 250, I do return to the starting area just outside the Lucian mines to sell off the Scotland drops, which are bone fragments, dark stones, and iron helms. Now, with a chain of about 200ish, you should be getting about 25,000 gil per trip. If you were to do this for 1 hour, you would end up getting about 165,000 EXP, about 2,000 LP, and about 300,000 gil. Okay, so now we have far more gil than we need. All the monographs were over leveled, and we have enough LP to complete the license board a few times over, and a few weapons that are strong enough to get us through half the game, all while being less than 2 hours into the story and having less than 10 hours on the in-game clock. So, what can possibly come first in the top 5? Well, how about only the strongest weapon in the game before you even go to the Lucian mines? Honestly, this thing is so strong you can AFK your way through the entire game. It's far stronger than the Zodiac Spear, coming in at a whopping 224 attack and a very high evasion rate of 75. Now, given that you can get this within the first 2 hours of the game, it must be really hard fighting some endgame level secret boss, right? Nope. All you have to do is open one chest. So, what's the downside of going for this? Well, how about the fact the chest's invisible? Not too bad, you say? Okay, what if I add on the chest only has a 1% chance of spawning? You can deal with it? Okay, sure. Well, how about when you also add on the fact the Satan Grate only has a 0.01% chance of being in that chest? A little heartbroken? Yeah, I don't really blame you. After all, you only have a 1 in 10,000 chance of getting this bow. The upside? Every character can equip it since it doesn't have a license. Meaning, if you're daft enough to get 3 of these things, well done, GG, you just wasted 200 hours and made the entire game pointless. How pointless? Well, if you find a mob that's weak to fire and cast oil on it, equip the Satan Grate with fire arrows and you can land hits dealing over 1 million damage. Yeah, that pointless. Now, don't get me wrong, it is a very nice weapon to have since it does make farming so much easier. However, I really don't suggest trying to get this. After all, the clip you're watching right now was recorded on an emulator abusing the hell out of save states, and it still took me a couple hours to get one, and about 7 to 8 hours to get 3 of them. Now, on the Japanese International Zodiac job system, there was an easy way of getting them. However, that no longer exists since the RNG manipulation method involved listening to the PS2 laser reader ticking, something you can't do on the PS4. The only upside, however, is the autosave feature on the PS4 acts like a save state, so once you get the chest to spawn, you can just keep dashboarding if the chest doesn't have the Satan Grot in it. Okay, so now that I've crushed all your hopes and dreams for the one person who's still daft enough to get this thing, how do you do so? Well, first of all you need the diamond armlet equipped, and then you need to go to any airship station and fly the airship. It doesn't matter where to, although at the start of the game you can only go between Nalbina Fortress and Remaster. Now when you're on the airship, simply go up the stairs to your left or your right onto the deck, and the invisible chest is located here on the top section. If you do manage to get the setting right, congratulations. And with that, you are now strong enough to basically clear the first 50 stages of trial mode before you even rescue Penello. Seriously though, don't bother getting the setting right. Now, if you liked the video and it helped in your undying need to be overly broken as early as possible, then hit that like button and subscribe, making sure to turn notifications on. I'll be making guides for Final Fantasy XII from everything ranging from all spell and technique locations, from chests to grinding spots, and how to get all the best weapons and armor from the Bazaar. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all later.